Sister, do you mind repeating what you just said? I had to turn the recorder on.
We did not have much of a social life. Walking around after supper was about what all we did. Uh,
But you stayed with the other sisters. You didn't mix with anybody else.
no, no, we did. We lived in a house with 3 floors. We were on the top floor. We had to walk up a winding stairway to get to our apartment on the 3rd floor, and we had three 2 bedrooms, 2 people in each bedroom, and we got up real early and went over to church. We had all our prayers and everything the same as if we were in a convent. So that's what our life was. We were going to school, but we didn't have any.
Did you did
Oh,
you did
we
you
had.
do movies? Did you do movies or anything like that?
Would you let me talk? Because I don't know. Okay. Excuse me. Hello. Well, I'm on a Zoom tonight. What? I don't know. It goes over 8 o'clock over sometimes. Okay. Okay. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Okay.
We got up. We got up in the morning and did our spiritual exercises and mass and meditation and all our prayers before school. And then after school, we went for a walk around the block. And then we went up and started to study till we had to be in bed by 9 o'clock. That was the rules in those years. We had to get up early and go to bed early. And I still do that.
Sister, I do too. Nobody has a gun to my head, but I still do that.
So there's much social life to tell you about.
Well, let's talk about your academic life then. I think it's Murphy Hall was where you were staying in, right? Is that right? Was it
Murphy
Murphy?
Hall.
Yeah.
Murphy. There's a little house across the street from the School of Pharmacy.
Well, let's say Duquesne University, if you look it up, is actually a top Catholic college still in the United States. I don't remember where it ranked, but it's pretty high as a university. Now, academically, why don't you just repeat what you think? I could read from your interview if you like.
You have my life story. So yeah.
Yeah, I'll just read. I'll just read from it.
Okay.
Why don't you wait just a second? I'll read from it because yeah, I mean that's part of what we're going to do on whiteboard today is and today's kind of like the anniversary of when you sent it to me. Why don't I just show while we're talking? Why don't I just show the whiteboard? Say existing whiteboard. I think I've already got it prepared. I like to show something from your life. I didn't have too much. What's going on? There we go. So anyway, on September 21st, which is just almost the anniversary, you sent me this note along with a paper copy of your interview. So that's what I'm going to read from. And I was looking for a picture of you from 2012. This is from your interview, your uh not your interview. This is from your reunion in 2012. So that's basically what you look like in 2012. That's like a cutout from your get together in
Oh,
2000. That's the truth. So you had kind of had short hair there. All right, so what am I going to do? I'm going to search for Margaret, and let's call this interview. Interview. All right. Here it comes. I'm gonna just read it. We already talked about why did you go to St. Elizabeth's? And let's see. I'll just add Duquesne to this. Duquesne. Duquesne, there you go. Okay, so the question was, I'm not going to show a picture. It's basically a scan of 2 pages from your interview. I'll just read it. Again, this is from the 2012 interview. The ninth question was, what were your days at Duquesne like? We lived in Murphy Hall, right across from the School of Pharmacy. My first year at DU, there were 4 of us HM sisters, Sister Anne Raquel in nursing, Sister Laurentine and Sister Mary Canisius in music, and Sister Margaret Mary in pharmacy. The 2 sisters in music had to go over right after breakfast to practice their musical instruments. Sister Anne Raquel and I studied after Mass and breakfast in preparation for classes of the day. We ate in the DU cafeteria or at the Greasy Spoon, a small diner not far from campus. At supper time, the 4 of us got together in the cafeteria and we marveled at the amount of food we saw on the sportsmen trays. We supported each other by prayer and concern for the good of all. We lived on the 3rd floor. Sisters from other communities made the total for all of us to be 9. Sister Agnes and Sister Nomina and 3 daughters of the Divine Redeemer, Sisters Thecla, Sister Margaret, and Sister Elizabeth. We tried to go for a walk after supper, but we were required to, by the rule of the Pittsburgh bishop, to be up in our rooms by 6 p.m. So sometimes it was a very short walk. On my 2nd year at DU, I had 2 other HM sisters with me, Sister Mary Sita, now Dorothy Zwick, and Sister Mary Charles. I was busy this year with labs and classes, but in evenings and weekends, we would be together. I remember especially how we would do our laundry in the bathtub and hang up to dry. Candy was rationed out piece by piece. It was hard to be the superior at the small house on DU campus. We did have some fun also. During my 3rd year at DU, Sister Vincentia, Helen Bonnet, and I were together. She had to study late and worked very hard in her program. Planned to prepare her to become a hospital administrator. I was also very busy this year with 4 labs in the PM and classes in the AM. We were together for supper and a little walk around the block. Then it was back to studies in our rooms. During weekends, we would try to get caught up with laundry and cleaning and writing. I remember having to study harder than ever this 3rd year because of biochemistry, quantitative analysis, pharmacy, law, and economics, to name just a few of the difficult subjects. In my 4th year at DU, Sister Mary Timothy and I were together. She was in the nursing program, working toward her bachelor in nursing degree. She was a dedicated, loving sister who inspired me very much by her prayerful and joyful spirit. It was very good to have her around me in my final days at Duquesne University. I had excellent professors at DU. Dean Muldoon wrote his own textbooks and taught from them. Patrick Del Castro taught us many of the beginning pharmacy subjects. Joseph Zapotaki taught us many of the harder courses. Since I love to study, I kept busy every day at Duquesne University. Now, I don't have it posted there, but you think you graduated a magna cum laude again at Duquesne University. You had a very high grade point average at Duquesne University. Do you remember academically how you did?
I was second. As
Second. Okay.
Walter Montague. I'll never forget him. he he was the first. Wherever I went, I was the second. At Mount Moriah, I was second, and at Duquesne, I was second too. But
Who was number one again, did you say?
Walter Montague.
Walter Montague. Okay. All right. Well, that's fine. Cindy, do you want to ask her any questions about her days at Duquesne University? No, you didn't go to school during the summer, did you?
No, I
What did
worked.
you do?
Well, I worked in the pharmacy at different. There's three hospitals I went. The first year I was at St. Elizabeth in Youngstown for the summer vacation, and next year I was at St. Joseph in War, and the third year I was at St. Joseph in Lorain, Ohio, during the summers.
Okay, well that's kind of like co-op in a way. That's kind of like what I did. I went to school and then I worked at NASA in alternate quarter. So same idea. Cindy, did you want to ask her any questions about her days at Duquesne University? Now I know this Muldoon guy. I think he's got a building named after him now
Yes,
at Duquesne University. I kind of looked him up. Yeah, he was dean, wasn't he a dean? Dean there when you were there?
he was. That was a school of pharmacy that he founded. Hugh, his first name was Hugh, Hugh. Hugh C was the middle initial. Muldoon. Hugh C. Muldoon. He wrote his textbook of organic chemistry. He wrote the book of pharmaceutical Latin and the pharmaceutical arithmetic. He was a writer of textbooks, and then he was taught from those textbooks.
Cindy, do you want? I'm gonna Muldoon, Duquesne University. I'm just gonna look him up. Yeah, he's got a building named after him. Founding dean of Duquesne's School of Pharmacy and a building named after him.
He died of cancer.
But you knew him personally, right? He taught you.
Yes,
Here we go. Got him. I should have put. I was thinking about adding his portrait. Is founder and first dean of Duquesne University's pharmacy school. First class included a woman, highly unusual in those days. Now, I don't think you were in the first class. Were there any lay women
yes.
going?
There
Were
were
there?
four religious and six lay women. There were
Oh, okay.
10 women in my class. 10.
Well, wow. So it was pretty well integrated by then, right?
Right.
In terms of what would you say the ratio was? I mean, just in general, do you think there was
There
twice
were
as many men as women,
50,
or
50. There were 50 men and 10 women.
okay? All right. Well, back then, that was pretty good. Your letter there says, I'll just read your letter. We just read the thing, but you sent enclosed this can you see? Let me move. I can't, my computer doesn't want to let me move it. Just thank you for coming to the villa last Saturday. You asked me whether you could have a copy of my writing for the history of St. Elizabeth. I am sending you this and also a copy of what I wrote for the centennial presentation. Anyway, I can't read it real well, but there's the letter. And there's a picture of you back in 2012. Now that wasn't that many years ago. That was only 12 years ago, but that paragraph or page or a couple of pages is actually, in my opinion, very well written.
I thought so too. I didn't really recognize it as my writing.
Yeah, well, you must have made that star and everything. Yeah, it's dated September 21st.
I mean, what you read of my life story. I thought that
Yeah.
was
Oh, well, I know. Of course, I've read it. I'm your biographer, right? How could I
right.
not? Cindy, did you want to ask her any questions?
No,
That's good. I mean, we're talking about pretty much straight out of high school, within 10 years of high school. 'Cause those are formative years for anybody.
Have you told Charlotte would be interested in the person that wrote the books on organic chemistry, since that's what she does? So she probably would be interested in that. What was his name again?
Hugh, Hughc period Muldoon, Muldoon, Muldoon.
If you do Google for Muldoon Duquesne, he comes right up.
Okay, well,
I
that's
just re-
great. Now, and the other thing that I was going to say earlier, you kind of go in right away, Chuck, and don't really give me a chance to say anything. You always ask me if I want to say anything, and then you just keep talking. But anyway, when you were talking about the internships, I was just curious. Now, there are some internships that are paid and some that are not paid. And I was just wondering back then if they were paid. And then also, I know probably sisters don't get paid like for a regular internship. So how did they handle that when you were in school?
I don't know what happened. I don't know whether I was paid or not. And I'm not sure. I was just doing my obedience, and I went and worked every day. Well, I was supposed to get 8 hours for my apprenticeship, it was called, at St. Elizabeth. And in the meantime, I was to work in the sacristy. I was to work at other office, we called them offices, and I was supposed to be the partner. In those years, we didn't go out alone. Our sister in our community had to have a partner whenever we even went downtown to buy shoes or whatever. We had to have a partner. And since I had a blue habit on, I wasn't in white yet. I was just a student, and so I wore uh, blue, and I could get ready to go downtown pretty fast. So I was chosen as the partner for. In the meantime, I was supposed to get 8 hours of apprenticeship per day, and I was to keep a little book with all the hours, and there weren't enough hours in the day to get all those things done. Most of the time I would work on Saturday in the sacristy. In those years, we washed the altar every week. Be sure you have everything washed and cleaned for our blessed Lord on Sunday. So it was quite a challenge even before I was even in pharmacy school. It was a challenge to get all that in before we went to school. So,
Did Grandma and Grandpa ever visit you at Duquesne?
would you believe my mother brought us Thanksgiving dinner to the group?
Oh,
My brother-in-law was still living, Harold Stockard. He drove a car over. My mother and father came, and we had Thanksgiving dinner up in that Murphy Hall, third floor.
that's
How
wonderful.
it was wonderful, just like chicken dinner, just like everybody else at home had it. I don't know what day it was, but I know they came, and we had for all the four sisters that were there. That was a wonderful memory to have them.
Yeah. I know they loved you a lot, so it was probably
I'm
hard back then because they didn't have as many things to heat stuff up and keep it cold. So that's quite a big thing to bring a Thanksgiving dinner.
Mhm. Well,
That's a very nice story, sister. What else besides chicken did you have?
dressing and dressing and carrots, peas and carrots. I know that mixture, peas and carrots. And
Did
How
you have
about pie?
dessert?
pardon.
Did you have pie?
Oh, pumpkin pie, pumpkin pie. Yeah.
That's
That's
nice.
that's a great story, sister. I like that story. That's going to make it into your biography.
Yeah. My mother was a great cook. She also sent cookies in a box, but she didn't realize that they would be all crumbled when they got
Oh,
there. But she packaged them as best she could. She put candy, Christmas candy, and cookies. Yeah, I remember those very much. Yeah.
On in years that she didn't do that, how did you celebrate the holidays?
Well, we went to back to the villa because everything was closed over the holidays at the university. And if it was the one that greasy spoon was a little bit of restaurant, that was all that was open in the neighborhood. And so most of the time we took the train back to Youngstown and somebody would pick us up, take us to the villa. I remember riding the train back and forth to school.
So that's interesting too. How was the train ride? I remember at your um who was the Bishop Malone at your Jubilee celebration had a little he's had a little story about his travels, I think from Cleveland to Villa Maria. And he was saying that it was really hard back in those days. But you only had to go a short distance, I guess, on the train, right?
Right. Yeah, right. And we
Did
had in those years they had what you call clergy discounts. Clergy sounds like for priests. Well, it was for priests and sisters. And we had a book of like tickets, coupon tickets, and that's what we used for our payment on the train. Clergy books.
Okay, well, unless you think of anything else you want to add, or Cindy wants to ask you another question. This was fruitful. We got something out of you here that at least I think is going to make it into your biography. So we conclude this topic then, Cindy, or do you have anything else you want to add? We did get some interesting anecdotes. That's what I call this. Stuff that's not factual so much as just interesting stories. Shall I move on, or are we still on this topic?
Move on.
Okay. Let me close this.
and Linda is texting me and she says Andy's trying to help her, so she's still trying to get on.
Okay.
Well, it's 7:40. They may not make it. But we could go longer. I don't have anything else. I
But we have
struggle
the
to
prayer.
I struggle to come up with a topic. Well, we usually do what
And
we
talking
do.
about what we did during the week, I wanted to show you a picture. This is another picture of our great grandson. His name is Dominic.
Oh, isn't he darling?
Makea is a Hawaiian name. And Dominic means, I put it into the chat, but it means from God or something like that. And then Makea means like brave and strong. So that's that. And I went to Madden class again today. And Rick and I both got COVID and flu vaccines this week. Next week is my Perry reunion. So again, I won't be able to join you next Friday, but that doesn't mean you guys can't meet. It just means I won't be able to join you. So I guess that's me.
I think you planted some sunflowers too. I think that's interesting. I don't have any pictures of that to show, but I thought that would have been interesting. Yeah, I mean,
we planted them earlier, the ones that I posted today. Rick surprised me, and they are like artificial ones, but when the natural ones were dying, so he got me, he knows I like them, and he got them. He surprised me. Some of them he put them in the toaster. So I woke up this morning and I have sunflowers in my toaster. They're going to go outside. But anyway, so that was, it was a nice thing. So
I planted sunflowers one year. They got to be pretty huge, but they are pretty. But they make a big mess. So anyway, you probably know all about that. Uh, let's see. From my standpoint, the big news is the Cleveland Guardians clinched their ticket to the playoffs in the American League. So that was uppermost in everybody's mind that follows sports. But they still have about 8 games left in the season. And I know Sister would be glad to hear that because she's an old Cleveland Indians fan. I don't have anything else. So I do a lot of stuff with Coco, and I'm still, let's see. I had an issue with one of my students getting enrolled in a lab course for Montgomery College. I resolved that basically. It was frustrating because she registered for the wrong course, and I tried to get the publisher of this lab to change her registration. It took a long time to do that, but they ultimately understood what I was trying to say and fixed it. So a little bit of Montgomery College stuff. Of course, I teach there still Tuesdays and Thursdays. Coco's being pretty well behaved. I thought today, since I didn't go out or do anything else, I might take her down to the village, but I didn't. So, all right. So I guess the last thing on the agenda is the prayer, Sister. Do you want to take over?
All right.
We're not ready to quit yet. I want to put another picture on whiteboard. That's it. Let's see. There we go.
And Linda also just is texting me. She said, they've been trying, but they're not going to be able to get on. She said she will do her best to be on next week. Please tell everyone I said hello. Again, my apologies. That's Linda Gribble. But I won't be able to be on with you next Friday because of my
stand by. I'm going to put up another picture here. 9/20/24. And paste. Let me pull up the whiteboard again. This is it. So here's a picture I want to show you. There you go. See that? Sister,
I remember that picture.
well, talk about it. Tell us about that picture.
Well, there's a part of Youngstown Vindicator, our newspaper. It's called the Rotogravure section. It's every Sunday. It's brown and white, but it's not no colors yet. And then someone came up to take me while I was making a prescription, And that's the white habit with my veil pinned up and my sleeves pinned up. And
So you're not a student there, you are a full-time pharmacist, right?
yeah, that was taken at St. Elizabeth Hospital. I was working. I-
And you were actually making the prescription?
There's one, yes, there's one physician. He was a neurosurgeon, very rare specialty at that time. And he would stop in the pharmacy on his way to work in the surgery. And he asked me to, you see those in the foreground? Yeah, those were weights. So I had to weigh out a certain amount of this and that to go in. And
What
I'm
do you
pretty,
think, what do you think is in the bottle? Do you have any idea?
uh,
That's a tough question, I know.
yeah, I can't remember. Can't remember that.
All right, in terms of a date here, I probably have it somewhere, but I'm thinking that this was 1952 or 3 or something like that, or when? Because you graduated from Duquesne in 1951,
This would
so
be
you weren't a full-time pharmacist until after that.
closer to the middle of 54, 55.
All right, let me see. Let me see if I have a date for it. Let's see. I mean, the Vindicator would probably have the date. Let me search. Pharmacist. Let me see what I had to say about it. Yeah, I have you down as Sister Margaret Mary newspaper clipping. I says probably a Youngstown Vindicator, but you just substantiated that. I have down 1956, April 22nd.
Uh,
That's when it was taken. Or that's the date of the newspaper article.
I would,
Before I was born, the year I was.
uh,
Yeah, it's too bad they made you wear those habits. They look very uncomfortable.
You look beautiful in it. It's wonderful. It's a nice habit.
Well, let's be realistic for the purposes of the biography. Was it comfortable, sister, or not?
no, especially the headdress around my ears. My ears were bleeding quite a bit of time, and then
Wow.
it would get soiled. I have a little spot on my side of my ear.
Was it part of the coif that covered your ears and your cheeks? What was that called again?
Um,
You said before, but that's okay.
And do?
Yeah, I think that was it. All right, we're done. I'm glad I got that photo. So this will be the record of oh, let's see. This concludes the meeting of 9/20